I think it's alright just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so it was the first ever episode proper of the Resilient by Choice podcast. And yesterday was the end of Mission 60, so I think we're going to talk about that for the first episode, and then over time we're going to go back through the events that we've done.
Yeah.
It's off camera now, but we've a picture wall behind us here with all the events we've done over the years, and we'll be talking about all of them. I've a couple of medals here, and again I will shot you loads behind you there as well, but some of the events we've done is I've done the 777, which is 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days. There's me Antarctica medal there. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Ironman, loads of different events that you've done as well. You've done some different ones to me as well. What have you done actually in the last year?
The Eco Trail, Wicklow Eco Trail. That was the most recent one. Dublin City Marathon.
There's just loads, isn't there? Kerryway Ultra. We've done loads together, but we'll be talking about all them. But for now, this one is about the day after finishing 60 marathons.
It's all about
60 days.
Mission 60, Ger. Let's cut to the chase. Let's be honest. So, what is Mission 60? What was it all about? So, it's...
It's obviously running 60 marathons in 60 days. That was the thing. I've always wanted to do a world record. That's kind of where it began as a world record, but it became something much bigger and about something totally different as well. But it started with my kind of wish to do a world record, which I've always had. I've had a few things in the past that I was eyeballing and they never materialised. But with this one, I know we talked earlier when we were out on a run, and we'll talk about that again in a few minutes. But I've always wanted to do one. And
it wasn't just about running the 60 marathons in 60 days on the treadmill. Just to go back a little bit in regards to the context of it, it was different because in this one, there was an underlying fundraiser for cancer research. Like normally any of the events you've done before in the past have been just for yourself and yourself only, but this one went a lot deeper.
But that's what I was trying to get at there. It started as a personal achievement thing, and I mentioned there earlier the other ones that I was looking at, a lot of skipping records and things like that, they never materialised. But what I was about to say was when we are out running, I mentioned to you about whether it's divine timing. These things are meant to happen for you at a certain time in your life. For example, DECA UK, I rock up to that, not a clue. Like me 2 crew members for day one didn't know what a triathlon was, and we ended up winning that event because we were meant to win that event, and I thoroughly believe that. And this was something similar in that the timing of it was all perfect. I had asked Guinness World Records the year previous, could I attempt this particular event, 60 marathons in 60 days. The current record was, at the time, was 59. So it was like, my initial thinking was I'll do 100 just because 100 is a nice round number. But it all worked out in there was 60 days from November 1st to December 30th. It was a perfect time because I wanted to do more stuff around Resilient by Choice. Yeah. And I didn't want to do an extra 40 days. It was pointless because you were breaking the record with 60, so leave it at that. That was just all, lined up perfectly. Do you know what I mean? And then the cancer research thing came on board through raising money for the Boston Marathon, to try and get a place in Boston Marathon. So my friend Ferg was involved in that.
And your target goal was €60,000. So what did you achieve?
Everything. That's what I mean. Everything lined up perfectly for it. Why not do 60? It was a nice round number. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking, but we got a bit of help with it, that way. Yeah. And we did manage to raise the €60,000. So everything just was like it was meant to be. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. It's very hard to put into words, but and it's very hard to explain it without sounding cheesy or almost. I wouldn't say religious, but spiritual. Do you know that way? It was something about it that I was meant to do this at this certain time. Do you know that way? Yeah. And that's why it was so easy.
You made it look easy, Ger. To be honest, I done a couple of runs. Was you think I done 33k one day, 26 another, 20. For me, I don't know how you've done the challenge, and I don't know. I know what you're like. If you put your mind to it, you'll do it, and you'll go through it. But for me, it was a bit monotonous, and just staying in the one spot, and just even getting off after doing the 32K, my legs just didn't feel right. You know, like you've done it for 60 days. Like, at some point, you must have had like physical injuries or a low point mentally. Can you just take us back a little bit, just maybe just on the physical aspect? Like, at what point did your legs start to give in?
I mean, there wasn't, well, minus maybe the last week, there wasn't a day where I was saying to myself, now, if I didn't have that injury, I'd be able to run here. No bother, it'd be handy. So I was always dealing and coping with something in the background. I didn't like to, I did mention it on camera, and I did mention it in the kind of reflections every day, but I didn't want to dwell too much on it. I didn't want to give it energy, you know, that way for it to grow. Like, so I was conscious of that. Like, so I had a cold, I had Achilles injuries, I had, I'm going to say injuries, I mean, they weren't full-blown injuries with probably the exception of my tibialis thing that I had going on. At one point that was quite hairy, you know, that way. But every day I was dealing with something. And then, as I said there, the last 7 days I just motored through them. I don't know what that was, whether my body had adapted where there wasn't little things I was coping with, and then all of a sudden I was fine and I could just get on with it, you know, that way. But usually they say with the likes of these kind of events, it's generally 7 to 10 days your body will adapt to it. Like, and I did get that sense and that feeling at the start, like where I was, you know, feeling okay, but then something would arise and you'd cope with that, and something else probably from running differently. Let's say, for example, I think I had an Achilles niggle on my right side, and you'd probably guard that subconsciously maybe by running slightly different. And then I'd have an Achilles injury on my left side. I was like, Jesus, that's gone. Now I have this. And then all of a sudden I'd have not a full-on hamstring injury, but like, you know, the tendons on the lower part of your hamstring, just that's at the back of your knee, above the back of your knee, on the right side. And then that would change to the left side. And then I'd have something in my lower back for a day or two. And then I got a cold. So it was always something, but it was always about staying positive and just managing it, everything as it came, you know, giving it its own kind of attention, dealing with that in the moment, and then, you know, getting on with it.
Surely to God, you dealt with some blisters at some point, because I know when we were doing the Deca UK and running, like, my feet were in bits. So at some point you must have come across
early on.
Blisters.
That was early on, and that was I probably spoke too soon, because I was asked that probably 3 or 4 days in, and I was like, oh no, I never get blisters, because I never do, as you
no,
well
your
know.
feet are like leather, and I know that, so I was actually surprised.
Yeah, this was very different. Obviously, you know, with the treadmill, it's very different to outdoor running. Very different. It's not easier. It's easier in some aspects and it's harder in others. So it's not that it's overall easier or harder. It's just different. And that's with anything, like, you know. But yeah, so I think with the blisters, I was so confident with my feet that, you know, your feet aren't getting wet because you're not up in the mountains, and that's generally those kind of things, or getting things in your runners, you know, dirt, whatever, muck, whatever, and that gives you a blister. That kind of, you'd none of that to deal with. So I was quite confident that, you know, it wasn't even an afterthought like that I'd get blisters, you know. But I'd say after 4 days, 5 days or something, I started getting them. And I think it was just, obviously, my feet were sweating. And then the treadmill kind of comes at you.
Yeah.
So that adds an extra bit of friction to the point where I start getting blisters. And I didn't deal with them because I was like, that'll pass, that'll be all right, like, you know. But they got worse and worse because I wasn't dealing with them. So when I realised they were starting to be a bit of an issue, I started going back to things that I did at the likes of Deca UK, where I'd use talc powder, just keep my feet dry, all that kind of stuff. And that very quickly, you know, dealt with that problem. Like, and since then, when they healed up initially, then I wasn't getting any more problems with my feet. So that was something that I hadn't foreseen. And it was, again, it's such a long event, it's such a long undertaking that you can't foresee things happening, you know. I mean, a funny one was day one, I was running along and all of a sudden I had to go to the toilet, but you can't get off the treadmill. So I was like, oh no, what am I going to do here? Like, you know, like, so the only thing I could do was take one of my 2 water bottles that I had and make one of them then the portable toilet. So I'd slow the treadmill down,
You didn't
know,
drink from the wrong one at any stage, did you?
it was something I had to keep my eye on for sure. Like the top half of the treadmill had 2 spots for your bottles or whatever, and then it has a lower part for to another tray where you could store bottles as well. So obviously the bottom tray became my storage for the piss bottles. Yeah. But
I actually have a video of it one day, so I'll keep that under the hat for reeling in the years at some point.
Yeah, I was some crack, like, you know. But again, that's another example of things that just would arise, that because when you're out running, sometimes you get the urge to go to the toilet, and obviously if it's a 10k or whatever, you'd be grand till you get home, you know that way.
Yeah.
But this was very different, and then all of a sudden I was having to go every 5k, like, so.
Yeah.
It was something again that I hadn't foreseen, but we managed it. We dealt with it, and it was a bit of fun. Then it was added to the event. You know, we were talking about breaking more records and how many times you piss on the treadmill, kind of thing. But a bit of crack, like, you know.
And then from a mental perspective, like, what was the initial drive, and what kept you going in times, or your lowest? Was there any low times? And
no, not really.
Where did you grow your strength from?
It never really became something like, do you remember, again, going back to DECA UK or Challenge Galway, where you had real issues to deal with. There was issues, of course. The tibialis I touched on there earlier was a big issue and a big worry, but thankfully, you know, we dealt with it well and never really materialised, and that was down to the help of a couple of people, like, you know, Steve Fallon in particular he's a physiotherapist from Roscommon, and he was following the challenge, and he came up, gave me a bit of dry needling, flushed it out, and we're in 3 or 4 days. It was practically brand new. It was still in the background now, and it was always a worry that it might come back, that tibialis one in particular. But whatever he did turned the tide, and it turned it around dramatically, because we were thinking, and the lads will tell you, they were looking at me, and I was limping while I was running for, you know, half a marathon kind of thing, and it was a worry. But whatever he did, just, you know, really kind of helped flush it out, and then that became a non-issue, you know, that way. And I got good confidence from that, because there was a point there now where I was thinking, God, I might have to walk a few of these marathons if this gets much worse. We did manage it, obviously, with the help of Steve, and then slowing the marathons down, let's say from a speed 10 to a speed 8. That had a knock-on effect as well in other ways, but it dealt with the problem in hand, and that's what you do in all these events. You deal with what you can deal with in the moment. Sometimes it might cause other issues. For example, it wasn't really an issue, but let's say it just made my day a lot longer. I was on my feet a lot longer. I was then in the height of the traffic driving home, which added on another couple of hours in my day. Like, whereas, let's say if I had a good day, in the height of my good days, I was getting home at like 2:30. In the bad days, I was getting home at 5:45, kind of thing, you know, which is a huge jump. And there's a knock-on effect of that, not just physically, like, because you can get home and put your feet up, but it just makes the day harder, you know, that way. So that's mentally something to deal with. But it was, you know, it was fine. You know, you just accept it for what it is. Get on with it. At least you're still moving. Yeah. At least you're still able to continue the mission, that kind of thing, you know. So you think of all the positives instead of giving your energy to the negatives. And there was a lot of that throughout the days, throughout the 60 days. But
it was different in a sense, this challenge. You had a lot of support along the way. Big shout out to the lads in Gym Live as well, James and Darren and Christy and stuff. And you had a lot of support there. And I also had a lot of different people over, which is some people that were struggling with cancer. You touched an area for a lot of people. Because I remember watching with Martini your daily reflections, you know, and I was grateful. You mentioned my mother. I think it was on day 58, because every day you mentioned dedicated the day to someone that was either suffering from cancer or had passed away, or someone's family. And you know, did that help you get through it as well?
Absolutely, If that's the purpose. You know, that's what I was saying earlier. The whole purpose of it initially was to get a world record, and that's fine, that's great. But it's such a long, arduous kind of event that I don't think that's strong enough. You know, that way. And when the cancer research thing came on board, that's very strong. You know, that way, because it's not just you. It's it's for you, your mother. There was a woman running beside me who had done her her therapy on the Monday, and she's running with me on the Wednesday. And
Amazing.
she's, her hair is only going back now. All this kind of stuff. So that's very strong, and that gives you a
Well, not only does it give you strength, it's just the wider audience. Anyone else that's suffering from cancer that can't get out of bed or thinks that their life is completely over. It gives them that extra drive to,
You feel that there's definitely a ripple effect there, and people are messaging you, and people like that lady coming over, telling you like she's proud of you and all that kind of stuff is
amazing.
It's quite emotional as well, that way. So. Yeah, and that's why it was never going to fail. It was never going to fail, honestly. Like, for me, the marathons are fine, honestly. Obviously, it can be difficult in times, but like I said earlier, I would walk one if I had to. I didn't want to, and I'd make it so much harder, but you would do it if you had to, that way. That was never an issue. I don't think running the marathons was the issue. I think the consistency over such a long time was the real challenge, to be honest. It's like us trying to do anything. You'll see it now in January, people wanting to get into the gym and all that kind of stuff. Going to the gym is fine, you know what I mean? But can you do it every day? Obviously you wouldn't do it every day because you need a rest days, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, that discipline to continue on.
It's that self-discipline, building that.
Short-changing yourself.
That's not easy, you know what I mean? And people are, and rightly so, challenged by it, and probably get a bit hard on themselves as well, but that's the real challenge of something like this, I found anyway.
So just take us back to yesterday, because yesterday was the final day. It was day 60, and it's not every day you get an opportunity to celebrate your victory lap with not only your community, your running club, your family, your friends. Everybody was there. So from the DJ was from the minute you started off yesterday to the finish, just take us through the whole day. What was that experience like for you?
It was unreal. I've had a few days like that, as you well know. DECA UK 22, the second one where we got to run the lap backwards, and you were there, and that was epic. But we were a small group, but it's still the same kind of impact. And then when I came home from that, I think I got a homecoming and everything in the access to civic offices and everything was unbelievable. The Lord Mayor was there, all that kind of stuff. Came back from the 777. There was another homecoming type thing. I got one when I left the school, like all the students of the school. So I've had a few moments in my life that are just, it's hard to put into words how grateful you are when it happens to you, because there's hundreds of people there and they're there to support you, and it's very special, and I've had a few of them, but this one yesterday was a little bit different, because they're kind of it's like a finish line where it'll last a few minutes or 10 minutes, half an hour, that way, max. This was 4 hours of just complete celebration and positivity. It was just unbelievable. It was like being a nightclub as well.
I actually,
a marathon.
Seriously, I was expecting the guards to knock at the door too, because the gym live is in a warehouse in the middle of an industrial estate, and at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock during the day, just pre New Year's Eve, shall we say, and the tunes were pumping. I was expecting the guards to come any time, and just But for me, the moment that stood out to me was the likes of Martina's father came over. He was there supporting along the way. Your mother was there with our poster, supporting you, and all your family and friends were there. It was just, the whole thing was electric. Yeah,
it's something, they're almost once in a lifetime. I know how they feel but this one in particular was a once in a lifetime kind of scenario. Where would you ever see that again? You know what I mean? We're breaking a world record. Half of your running club was there, more. Community around Gym Live were all there, the family, as you say.
And all these days went live as well. So you're live on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. So you were in the four corners of the earth as well. They get people all over the world supporting you.
I had people from the 777 sending me messages all the time. You know what I mean? They're in America, a lad in Puerto Rico and all. It's just crazy. But yesterday was definitely something different to those other scenarios I mentioned. But very, very special. It was unbelievable. It's hard to put into words. It really is. But I think a lot of you touched on it there earlier about other people getting a lot out of it. I think everyone was like a party. I think everyone was really invested. You know that way. I was almost like
There was a much bigger picture there, like the power and the atmosphere and just everyone
I
getting
was just
involved.
doing my own thing, running away. I was almost like, I felt like I was on the outside looking at everyone just having a party.
Yeah.
It was just so surreal. It was unbelievable. And yeah, it was just by an absolute stretch the best day of the 60. Like,
It was nerve-wracking for me because you had mad Johnny Kinsley going down doing handstands and he's doing it at the end of the treadmill and I'm like looking at the cables. I said, if he pulls out one of the cables, like the treadmill is going to stop, you're going to have to start again. So, oh my God, just like myself and Mira were doing security around the end of the treadmill, trying to keep the kids away, putting the dumbbells there so no one would go near the power cord.
The power thing was it was kind of a thing in the back of your mind for the whole 60, like, you know, what if the power cuts here, like, sorry, but it wouldn't be, again, it'd be something you deal with, you know, in the moment, kind of, you know, get the power back on, blah blah blah, whatever it might be, or go somewhere else to do it. But yesterday was a real kind of, like, all the treadmills were going, you had the DJ playing, there's so much activity. I was like, oh, there's a real opportunity here for the power to go or something, like, you know. But I mean, they're just kind of little afterthoughts, really, you know.
I remember the first time I was running with you and I stopped for the 5k interval or 10k because that's how you broke it down to get it through mentally and physically. You might stop or walk every 10k. And the first thing I done was put my hands on the sides. But that's against the rules. Like, I know you didn't do it throughout the challenge, but naturally, that's the first thing I wanted to do was put my hands and relax.
Their guidelines, I never touched them at all. It's not something, you just said it there, the only time you touch is when you were finished and you were getting off. So when you're running, you're obviously, that's your arm motion, you're never going to touch them anyway until you're finished and get off, you know. So it's why they put it in the guidelines is so people aren't running like that. Bracing their weight, say, and taking the pressure off the legs. So you were never going to do that anyway. Like, I mean, it was, it's a non-issue, to be honest. Like, But it turned out really. The whole thing, I'm so happy with it. How it turned out. Like, we just achieved everything and more. Like, you know, we were talking. We done a 5k run. We talk about that now in a sec. But while on that 5k run, we were talking about. You know, achieving all the goals, so 60 days tick, 60 marathons tick, €60,000 tick. But there was more we got from that, like the community, the input from people I didn't know, people that were running with me I didn't know. We get to meet them. Jan, I thought was brilliant over the last few days. She was doing all her 5Ks, so she was running 365 5Ks every day, like for the year kind of thing. But she was gone over that now. I think her 370th was her first run on a treadmill, kind of indoors, you know. But she's a great personality as well, and getting to meet her and run with her. But there's loads of stories like that over the thing. Gucci got to, you didn't train with them. Remember that group with James, Darren, and Gucci's another one, and Robbie as well, who got involved. He's the custom jewellers, supported us towards the €60,000 and all that kind of stuff. Getting to see them again and all was a real plus, like, you know. But there's so many of those kind of little stories, it's hard to mention them all now. I mean, loads of them. But it was brilliant, and that was another big plus from the 60-60. I'm going to get to work with the lads at Gym Live now as well, which was something that wasn't initially a thing, you know. The lads were just there to support me, like, you know. Obviously I've done a bit of work with them in the past, but now we're going into really building the Gym Live app. I'm going to do a bit of fitness testing with them. I'm going to do a few classes for their top end football teams that are getting into, you know, real the higher kind of level of testing and performance, let's say. So big things for 2026, and that's all come from this. And again, something that I didn't foresee at the start of it. I pictured it as me running in a room somewhere on my own with the camera on for Guinness World Records, do the marathon, get off, go home. But it just became an absolute monster.
There's a different entity there with the power of social media and all the influence and people coming together. And you touched on as well the 5k that we ran this morning. So what was the first initial couple of k like? You've been on the treadmill for the last 60 days.
It was so weird. Like, it was the weirdest experience I've had running in a physical sense. It was like, so I know a lot of people, that sensation when they get off a treadmill and they're kind of propelled forward a bit and it's hard to control. This was like that in reverse. So I was trying to explain to you. It's hard to find the words for it, but it was the first kilometer. I was like, obviously my legs were sore and tired, and you get that every morning, but it was like that multiplied by 10, like, you know the way, because it was, you're pushing yourself forward. But it was weird, like my brain is totally rewired now to the point where when you're running, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So this was weird, like even me eyesight and all was going like, what's going on here? Like, it was that feeling of running and moving forward, yet you were expecting to stay still, that way. And it was really kind of overwhelming. I was like, oh, what's going on here? It felt like I could fall, or my eyes were just going all over the place.
Your body wasn't used to being propelled forward.
I suppose all my systems were kind of overwhelmed. Like, it was just weird. Very strange. And I suppose for somebody, that's what I'd compare it to, like, when you're on the treadmill for so long and you come off and you're moving forward. It was that in reverse, like, I was moving forward, yet my brain was like, I shouldn't be moving here. Very strange.
Very surreal.
Lasted like a good kilometre, like, and then after that, it kind of settled a bit. And then it was just like, oh, my legs are knackered here, like, the way. Everything else felt great. It was only 6-minute kilometres.
Yeah.
So it felt
nice
great.
And easy.
Very easy.
Stretch the legs.
Yeah, just my legs were just knackered,
Yeah.
But there'll be a little bit of training back to where I was beforehand, which won't take long, like, I'd imagine that that sensation of running and not moving won't happen again. But I'm looking forward. I'll be able to have rest days now, like,
Yeah, definitely should take a few days rest and give you a good opportunity to think about.
I was really looking forward to seeing what it would be like and having that comparison, between treadmill and road running, one after the other. So that's, normally I'd take a rest day. So I'll take a rest day now tomorrow, like, and
take one day off. Yeah, fair play to you.
But no, overall it was class. Something I'm really glad I did. And yeah, we've a few plans for next year as well, but we won't talk about them now.
No, you're gonna take a few days rest. They give you a good opportunity to think about next year and different opportunities.
I think the whole month will be that. I'll still be running and taking it easy, but I won't be doing any tempos or anything like that. Just trying to recover for the next month. Obviously, part of that will be recovery running. Maybe get back into the pool a bit.
You have the Art on Hill there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, actually, I have that. But like we said earlier on our run, it'll be just finishing that. I'll be bringing the hiking poles and all.
Yeah.
Taking it nice and handy, enjoy it. I have to get that one back because that one knocked the stuffing out of me in 2018. I had a little bit of a spill up on the mountain and had a bad ankle, twisted my ankle badly. So I was happy enough. Like, I didn't bottle that one. I was happy with what happened. Was unavoidable, not unavoidable. It was pulling out was unavoidable. I was actually told I couldn't run. My ankle was so bad. And I was happy with that, like,
Well, the terrain is so difficult up there. Anyway, if anything heads south, like, what's wrong at all?
Yeah,
it's a helicopter job. Like, it's not going to be
8 years in the back of my mind that I have to get that done. And if that involves a bit of hiking with the poles, so be it. Like, we just want to get that one done, and we can move on then.
Very good.
Yeah, so happy with that first episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna obviously touch on all these kind of events over the next while, but you'll be in the hot seat as well on a few of them. But
yeah, definitely.
We've just loads of events to cover, and we'll be doing stuff on all different types of training. But I'm happy for that as our first proper episode of Resilient by Choice.
Yeah, congratulations, Ger.
Good man. Yeah.